beast! Ah!
Hello and welcome to another episode of Not the Bees, the Nicolas Cage filmography podcast. And this week we watched 2022's Butcher's Crossing, written and directed by Gabe Polsky. So let's jump right in. In 1874, Will Andrews, the naive and idealistic son of a pastor, has dropped out of Harvard and traveled to Butcher's Crossing, a tiny frontier town in Kansas built on the buffalo hide trade. Sold on the romanticism of going on a buffalo hunt, Will falls in with Miller, an intense and stoic but experienced buffalo hunter who spins him a tale of a remote Colorado pass where one of the few remaining massive herds can be found, and Miller is played by our Nick Cage. Though warned about Miller and the folly of his enterprise, Will puts up all of his money to fund the expedition. With Will's money, they purchase supplies and hire Charlie Hodge, a drunk, one-armed Bible thumper, to be the wagon driver and camp cook, and Fred Schneider, a brash but pragmatic Skinner who insists on being paid a salary due to his doubts about Miller's stories. After an arduous journey that takes them to the brink of death, the party eventually reaches a mountain pass to discover an untouched herd with thousands of buffalo. Miller begins his hunt and kills hundreds of buffalo a day, leaving Will and Fred scrambling to skin the carcasses. Despite advisement against this, Miller refuses to slow down, while Will becomes numb to the methodical slaughter. After 3 weeks of constant butchery, Fred points out that they have overstayed their intended time and already have more hides than they can carry. He proposes they stop and return before the weather turns and they become trapped. Miller refuses and Will sides with him. As a result of this, the team becomes trapped by a blizzard. They are now forced to live out the winter in the mountains for several months. Frustrated, Fred lashes out at Charlie and burns his Bible. In revenge, Charlie poisons Fred's food. Will's sanity slips further, and Miller obsesses over the triumph of returning to town with the largest haul ever seen once he's killed every single buffalo. The team settles in to endure a long, boring slog of survival as they wait the winter out. When spring comes, Fred realizes that Charlie was poisoning him, and he kills him. Unable to haul all of the 4,600 hides they have collected, they pile 1,600 in their wagon and leave the remaining 3,000 with the intent to return for them. During the journey back, their damaged wagon falls off a cliff, taking Fred and the 1,600 hides with it, as Miller and Will numbly stare on. Will and Miller return to town, only to find it largely abandoned and derelict. The two are horrified to learn that the bottom has fallen out of the buffalo hide market while they were trapped for the winter, and the hides are now completely worthless. Robbed of his victory, Miller sets the old Buffalo Exchange building on fire. When asked if the experience was worth it, a disheveled Will says that he has seen what he needed to see on the buffalo hunt, and he rides into the wilderness alone. The end. Megan, what did you think of this movie?
Couple of things. Number one, it's the first time that Cage has been bald. And I don't honestly dislike the look.
Like, completely bald, because he's been, like, halvesies bald in a Dream scenario.
Right. But full bald, also with a full beard. First time he's ever done that on screen. It suits him. I also think that he should stop making Westerns. They are not his genre. This is now the fourth Western that we've seen of his. The only one that made sense for him as an actor was Prisoners of the Ghostland. The other three have not really made a whole lot of sense for him in general. This movie is not good for so many reasons, because it should have just been a horror movie about the atrocities of the fur trade. I think that there was a lot of stuff they could have done. There were a lot of shots directionally that lent to the director's ability to have done that, and it had no idea what it was doing. It was trying to be Moby Dick at the same time, and also, like, appalling. This movie was appalling. I don't know. How did you feel about it?
So there's a bit here in the synopsis that says Butcher's Crossing is a riveting commentary on human nature, ambition, masculinity, and man's relationship to his natural environment. That is bullshit.
Yeah.
This movie is fucking awful. If this movie is about masculinity, it is about the futility of it. Everything that they do is completely futile.
The incessant need to conquer nature. Like,
they set out and they can't find water, to the point that they're all almost completely dead from dehydration when they finally come across water. They get up to where the herd is, and Miller goes completely fucking crazy and has to kill every last fucking buffalo. So is that masculinity? And then they're stuck there for the winter. They can't go anywhere. When they finally can get out, they lose all of their pelts. And then they get back just to discover that the bottom has dropped out of the market and nobody wants buffalo hides anymore. So that's been, the whole thing has been a futile fucking endeavor. Yeah. Is that masculinity? Is that what this movie is saying? Like, it's and I agree with you, it would have made more sense as a horror movie. There are all of these quick cut scenes where I think the director is trying to show that Charlie is going crazy.
Yeah. Like, he's not even just like completely out of his element. He is like in a separate world from where he has ever existed. He's never existed in the elements.
Yeah, and it doesn't make the cuts don't make any sense. The things that they're showing us are not things that he has seen, and it's not very clear where or why it's being shown to us.
And it would be one thing if this were based on a true story. It's not. It's based on some novel that some guy wrote in 1960, and it was also fiction. Like, it wasn't real. Like, the only parts of this movie that seemed interesting was like the moments where Will started to like slip into mania. Like, his ears were all fucked up because of the shooting. He's exhausted, sleep deprived, constant stress. Like, that would have been a really interesting fucking movie to see. Despite the fact that I'm not a huge fan of horror, like, I would have watched it. But this movie doesn't know what, because then we also have like random weird cut shots to like the foliage and the plane. And just still shots. Like, we're not doing anything with it. It's not just like in the foreground. It's just, this is what the desert floor looks like right here. I thought this bush looked interesting. And what are you? Like, this movie, I don't think knows what it is.
I agree with that 100%. And there's a bigger problem aside from the directing, which is that the acting is fucking awful.
Yeah.
The actor who plays Charlie is just terrible.
Also, I don't know about you, I have captions on all the time. But like, even
I don't.
Okay, so then I don't know if this is just part of the dialogue or whatever, but like, this was on Disney. So they have like the best closed captioning, probably some of the best people in the world to do whatever with their captions. And like, I'm sitting here with the subtitles on, and half of the time that him or Fred is speaking, it's unintelligible in parentheses. Like, they're not, like, half of their conversations are like not even there. And is that supposed to be part of it? Or did you, and like, they did shoot this movie in like 19 days. So it's not like they had, like, I don't know if they had like a budget for this movie, but like the weather was not very cooperative. So they didn't really have a lot of time to do very much with this movie. But I don't think that it knows what it is. And I can't believe that somebody said okay to releasing it. I can't believe this wasn't shelved.
One of my big gripes about this movie is that so much of it is told through montage that you would think that the movie itself would be faster.
And it's so boring.
Because they're condensing information. They're condensing information into these montages, and it's still a 2-hour slog fest to get through it. And the pacing is terrible. It crawls. It's not interesting. It's not cinematic. It doesn't tell a very good story. I want to know why Miller is so intent on killing the entire herd.
I think
why it's not enough to come back with 1,000 pelts. Why does he have to have 4,600
I
pelts?
think part of it is bloodlust. I think part of it is also like so that he can keep a store of stuff. Like he thinks the trade's going to continue, right?
Right, but it's never spelled out in the movie.
It's not. No one's motivation is really spelled out, period, other than Fred's. Fred's like, I don't even want to be here. You're asking to hire me. I will do it for, instead of a share of what we take, I will take a salary. Which is also like, why did he even stay? Because he had been the voice of dissent the entire time. And like, let's be honest, like there's always one. But to be fair, he's the only one that made any sense because he was like, you said this is going to take 6 weeks. We've already been here 2 weeks longer than you said we were going to be. I would have just left. What are you going to do without a Skinner? You're just going to leave all that, like, I'm going. Like, I would have just left.
Yeah.
Like, and then he ends up dying anyways. What was the point of any of this? And I was reading stuff online about it, and like, the synopsis that we use is the one from Rotten Tomatoes, but the one from IMDb was also very similarly deceptive. Like, it sounds like a coming of age. It sounds like an adventure story. It sounds like I'm going to go find myself as a man in the wilderness somewhere and like become one with nature. And like, no, that's not what happened. And this is a very poor telling of what I think could have probably been a really good psychological thriller. There's not a whole lot of horror stories that take place in the Wild West. You know, I would have been fine seeing something like that. I would have been fine seeing Nicolas Cage doing something like that. I think it could have worked, bald head and all. But that's not what it was. That's not what this was. I don't know what this was. Other than just a really terrible movie with a lot of really horrible fucking imagery.
I wrote the note, if I were watching this for fun, I'd have turned it off by now. And that was maybe half an hour into it. But you're right, the imagery, they go over the top with showing the skinning of the buffalo. And just, it's grotesque. It's not, there's no reason for it.
There's not.
Because Will isn't horrified by it. Fred isn't horrified by it. You're showing it just to show it. And to what? Gross out the audience with it?
I mean, I think the other interesting take that they could have taken with this is shown the horrors of the fur trade. And like how because they, at the end of the movie, we get a little sort of like history blurb about, again, this is not based on a true story. This was a fictitious story written by someone in 1960. But it is based on the fur trade. And it's estimated that like, what was it, like 62 million something buffalo?
Yeah, we went from 60 million buffalo to there's currently 30,000.
But at this time, it went from like 60 million down to 300. And it was also like a primary food source for the indigenous peoples of that area, which is the Blackfoot Nation. And so like all the buffalo that were used by permission and on the lands with handlers from, you know, the Blackfeet tribes in the area. And like, you could have done an interesting thing and told that story about this amazing American animal, this beautiful plains beast, and the horrible thing that American human capitalism did to it. You could have told that story, and you didn't tell that one either. Like, what were you trying to do here? Like, I don't understand what anybody was trying to do in this movie. And you're right. Yeah. The acting was really bad. I'm fine with that because we didn't know who any of the people in this movie were other than Nicolas Cage. And he does do a lot of independent stuff. So that's fine. And it was a very small group of people. It was only 4 total people other than the couple of people at the crossing.
But Nick Cage he's done a bunch of independent film with people that we don't know who are better actors than this
very
group.
Much so. 100%. 100. But I never expect, if it's a bunch of people that I've never heard of, I don't expect it to be good. So it's always a surprise. I always expect it to be pretty mediocre, and this was not a disappointment in that area. Yeah, like, It's not. This movie's not good. I don't. What would you rate this movie? Because I don't even think that I can rate this movie.
I would give it an F.
Oh yeah. Honestly, should we rate this movie jujitsu? Because I'm kind of feeling like it's a jujitsu movie.
I mean, I would let's give it an F. Let's not rate it jujitsu, because I think we gave jujitsu a D.
Did we?
We did give jujitsu
Okay,
a
well,
D.
This one's definitely an F. It's definitely an F. What would you rate Cage on this?
That's so hard, because this is not his best work. But he does bring it.
I think so. I was thinking like it's probably editing, because there were like parts where like he's doing the hunting, right? When they start doing the hunting, and he's very like in control. He's very like commander, blah blah blah. He brings Will up, shows him what's going on, and he's like, "Go back and get me a fresh rifle, more cartridges, bring water." Shows him how to like switch out. I'm like, okay, this is good. Like they're doing like bonding, like he's showing them how it works. And then like things were just happening, and I'm like, how did we even get here? Like, I don't understand his mood shift, but we were just in a completely different scene. And then somehow we went, fall is when they left Butcher's Crossing to go to Colorado. And then winter, when it starts to snow, like he tells everybody, Miller says that it's 6 to 8 months. 6 to 8 months passes in the span of like 22 minutes. So like, what do you, that should have been the bulk of your movie right there. Right there.
It should have. They should have been stranded for the majority of the movie. We should have watched them go slowly crazy with cabin fever. And we should have felt the effects of it being freezing cold in Colorado and them being stuck in these blizzards. And we spend barely any time on it. And the majority of that is spent with poisoning Fred.
Yeah. Charlie.
Who's the kid? Will. Will is a terrible actor. Will is the worst actor in this entire fucking
Blank
movie.
face, whole time. No expression.
No emotion. No expression. No emotion. Charlie's not a good actor either. Fred at least is doing his best. And Nick Cage, I really do think, brings something to it. He brings some gravitas to it. He really does emote and act, which the others are not doing. So I don't know. I would give Cage maybe a D.
I think that's fair. And I think that, I mean, this movie could have been, like, the potential for it, it's so disappointing. Like, this isn't just, like, a bad movie because it's a bad movie. This is a bad movie because it could have been, like, 3 or 4 great different things. Yeah. I don't know. But, I mean, Mr. Cage, if you're out there, if you're listening, sorry. Like, we love you, but Westerns are not your forte, pal. You should do something else with your time. Like, if you want to be serious and, like, do, like, serious drama, I think we both think that he's great at that. Period. But just don't make Westerns. Just let the genre die. Just let the genre die. Honestly, I think it's fine to let it just go. A lot of really horrible things happened during that time. Let's just, not to like cover it up, but like we're glamorizing it, and let's stop doing that.
Well, there you have it, folks. It's a stinker of a film, and not a very good Cage performance. But we thank you, dear audience, for listening and following along with us. As always, we are in every podcatcher, including YouTube. We are on Instagram at Not the Bees. We are on Patreon at Not the Bees. And that's going to be it for us this week. We'll catch you next time, folks. I've been Elizabeth. Toodaloo.